People ask me all winter long how we go about putting together these September tours. And there is indeed an element of a roulette wheel about it all. This is what the Cycle Oregon board does in December, those long, cold afternoons. It likely would work for us if we tossed in a crown jewel or two. Crater Lake here, Columbia Gorge there, Mount Hood, Mount Bachelor. Give the wheel a spin, see what comes up. And I guess if we did exactly that, we could indeed come up with a day one that you could define as just this, hill and dale. With the possible exception of Sauvies Island, hill and dale, I think, encompasses every conceivable bike ride in the state. But this year, we thought, let's forget Crater Lake and Crown Point and the Snake River and the Distines. Let's forget all those crown jewels. Let's take everyone who rides with us on Cycle Oregon somewhere else. Somewhere that we all keep tucked away in that secret place close to our hearts. Somewhere where we like to dream about. Somewhere that maybe used to be. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the 2011 Cycle Oregon Tour will begin in the very heart of a place I know with which you all are familiar, Bulldog Country. Do we have a bulldog in the house? Apparently not. There's only 6 guys on the football team, so there's your first clue. For those of you who may not be familiar with the dogs, you might be more familiar with the famous flock of local peacocks in this community. Don't even think of messing with these guys as you ride by. They only look friendly. They can destroy your shins. Peacocks are not the only wildlife in our opening town. If you look on their website, yes, every town in Oregon has a website. Here's what they list as attractions on Main Street: deer, elk, black bear, cougar, bobcat, gray fox, red fox, wild turkey, quail, and pheasant. And best of all, you can come right here and kill them all. There's a certain charm to a community that plays to its assets. But enough with all the teasing. Let me show you where we are indeed going to start. This is the throbbing, beautiful heart of downtown. Anybody? Oh, I fooled you. This is Sutherland. We are right here in Sutherland. That's the heart of the Kalapuya River Valley. We're about 60 miles south of Eugene. So our opening day, day one of Cycle Oregon 2011, will start on the aptly named Nonpareil Road. Nonpareil Road, the road without compare. Just to get us all warmed up, there's a gentle climb through a wooded ravine, and then it's on past those oak and sheep farms to the tiny community of Kalapuya and all the sylvan shade of Scotts Valley. We'll have lunch in London before turning upward for the first real exercise of the day as we climb London Hill, stretching out our legs. As the day draws to a close, we'll enter into horse country. We're sort of in that Umpqua horse country here. Then ride the shores of the magnificent Cottage Grove Lake. We'll get the chance at day's end to ride a classic covered bridge, and you'll think that we are indeed riding into a movie set when you realize we are riding into Cottage Grove, which was where Buster Keaton filmed his classic, The General. The General is, of course, not the only movie filmed here on Main Street. This town knows how to party. Now, I have to tell you this. The community of Cottage Grove asked if we would like to have an Animal House parade. I said, you misunderstand the nature of Cycle Oregon riders. Drinking and getting half naked and running amok down Main Street is not exactly our style. But then again, it is day one. And sunset on opening day will provide the perfect coda, we think. It's a lovely introduction to what's going to be an epic week. So there it is, day one, Sutherland to Cottage Grove, a very comfortable 47 miles. Now, you'll also know, many of you veterans, that by tradition, indeed by decree, we never do any actual climbing on day one of Cycle Oregon. And then you're looking at this elevation, I know. So let's just say, veterans I know are already thinking, well, if Jonathan says there's no climbing on day one, and this is day one, and the map maker painted it red, what the hell is day 6 going to look like? But there it is, day one. On then to day 2. So here's your next clue. We could, of course, go north from Cottage Grove. We could go east. There's some wonderful country off to the east. We could turn south. But there is a stage prop off to my right. And so, from the handsome downtown of Cottage Grove, and as you can see, that covered bridge really is right there in the heart of the city, we'll pedal on those smooth back roads off into tiny Lorraine. And then we'll glide through a tunnel of trees as we make our way heading west now, picking up Siuslaw River Road. And after lunch, we'll enter to ride through what the locals call the Chapel of the Coast Range. And it really is a forest and river cathedral. We cross over the drainage, pick up the path of the Smith River. And as we get closer, of course, to the Pacific, the river here grows placid, grows wide, the road smooths. And we're heading west still on Route 38, classic old route across Oregon. And as day 2 draws to an end, we'll suddenly, unexpectedly pop right out of the Coast Range into the community of Reedsport, gateway to the Oregon Dunes. And we'll pitch our tents right there that evening amid the scent of the mighty Pacific, and we will fall asleep watching the sunset over Japan. I can assure you we'll all be sleeping well that night, because here's the map for day 2. Cottage Grove to Reedsport, some nice climbs during the day, and a full 90 miles. All right, on to day 3. You're beginning by now, I'm sure, to notice how cleverly we caption these days. So you're already wondering, well, which cape are we going to ride? So day 3 starts off with a ride past these rolling dunes, marshes, and lakes. Classic Oregon dune country here outside of Reedsport. And then we'll take a scenic jaunt along the coast. Notice he said along the coast. He didn't say north or south. But here's your next clue. Our first stop of the day will be at a myrtlewood factory. Before long, we'll take off from the highway, swooping inland around Kentuck Bay, and then climbing up and over to Charleston. And we'll head that day for lunch at stunning Shore Acres State Park. And we'll eat there, watching the waves crash against these rocky outcrops, counting the seals as they bark their way through the surf, all on our way out to Cape Arago. After lunch, a day on which you'll probably all overeat while sitting at the beach, we'll hit you with the 7 Devils. There's a reason the locals call them the 7 Devils. Nobody in the area who bike rides ever goes up them. They're a series of very short, very steep pitches that will test your resolve. Even the strongest among you will be feeling good through the first 6. It's a rare treat for an afternoon on a bike. And then, as the perfect little coda to all that struggle, we've been granted permission, again a first, this afternoon, to ride through the very heart of Bandon Dunes. It'll be your first chance for many to see the heart of what many call the most beautiful golf course in the world. Everything here, of course, is so spectacular that we thought, what the heck, we might as well spend the night. Reedsport to Bandon, 75 miles. Leads us to day 4, Park